20 bucks. 20 bucks. Hi everybody. Jabor, 20 bucks. It's that time of year again, Christmas. So we're getting Christmas preparations ready. This is an idea that you can make. Got somebody come in, it's cold outside, you want something warm, but you don't want to go to, you don't have an awful lot of time on your hands. Nobody does this time of the year. And this is a Brie En Croute, which really means is a brie, and you can do either a small brie or a large brie cooked in pastry. And that's a brie, but I bring it up to room temperature before we start to cook. And that's a brie. I'm just going to rinse my hands. They feel a little bit sticky, so follow me to the sink and then we'll get started. Now, brie is traditionally eaten with cranberries. You can put brown sugar on the top. Today I'm going to use honey. But instead of using cranberries, I'm using diced apricots, dried apricots. And you can actually buy these already diced, which I did, being lazy. There you are, the diced apricots. And on the top, we've got some walnuts. Now, to add just a little bit more flavour and texture, I'm going to cook the walnuts in some butter. So come back to the stove with me, and that just adds a little bit more nuttiness. It brings out the flavour. So come back to the stove, and we're just going to cook these walnuts in a little butter. Gently just heat the butter. You can't use, you could use margarine, but it doesn't have the same flavour, not as the butter. So we just want to melt the butter. And I've got half walnuts. You can use chopped, but I like a little bit of bite in with this. So what I'm trying to do with I'm thinking of Christmas, what we can do for all our nibbles for Christmas is something that's quick and easy. For the amount of people you're going to be feeding, relatively inexpensive, economical, should we call it that way? Relatively economical. And you're not spending hours over the stove or with your preparation. Nobody has a lot of time to spend this time of the year on prep. And why? You know, we've got to, as the cooks, we've got to be able to enjoy other people's company. Otherwise, what's the point in having people in? So the butter, look, the butter is just melted, like that. I'm going to add the walnuts. And I just want to cook these walnuts until they're nice and golden and a little bit crispy on the outside. So I'm going to line this bowl with a little kitchen paper. So should there be any, like that, so should there be any residue of fat on there, it will be lined off. There we are. Ooh, one's escaped. Can I get it? There we are. The stovetop's clean. It was scrubbed down this morning. There we are. We don't want to overcook these, otherwise they taste burnt. But just so they're nice and golden and bringing out, I'm going to try one. See if it's got to the stage I want it to. Whoa, that's hot. The butter adds a nice little bit of saltiness to it because I'm using salted butter. So there's a little bit of saltiness in there. So you can see I'm just turning the nuts around like that. That'll do it. So we're going to pour those You see, I'm going to pat them with the paper just so that all the butter is drained away. We just want the taste of the nuts and the buttery taste around the nuts. So let's take these back to the butcher block. Lovely. I've got my puff pastry in here in the fridge. Now, with the puff pastry, it's bought puff pastry, which is really, really good. We used to have to make our own, which was an absolute pain. But the thing is that you can't let it defrost too much, otherwise you can't handle it. So I leave it out for, probably about 15-20 minutes max, or just defrost it in the fridge. It wants to be cold. It comes in various ways. This particular make comes like this, and so you just unfold it like so. But you see, it does, you have to be careful. We want to push that together to make sure that it doesn't crack. Some is rolled up that you just unroll. It just depends on the puff pastry. Now you see, I've got my list here. I've got egg wash. Now I've got some egg wash left over from I was cooking previously, and I've got a little egg wash left over. I'm not going to waste that. Might have to add another egg, I don't know. And so what we're going to do, we don't need, because we've got the paper here, we don't actually have to use a floured surface. We can work on this piece of paper. I've got my baking sheet ready, which is lined with parchment paper, which has been dampened. And as you've probably heard me say before, have it dampened, and then the steam from the hot oven makes the pastry rise. And so all we've got to do, and this is actually, this is the actual little bit which is tricky as far as I'm concerned, because you've got to put the nuts and everything in the centre. So what I'm going to do is add the honey to the nuts. Let's get rid of that. Like that. I'm going to put I need them in the centre, like so. Now, if you've got some honey that has gone a little bit hard, because we've got liquid honey, then for this recipe, it's fine. Just put the honey in the microwave and flash it for a few seconds, and then it's nice and liquid again. It's an excellent way of using up old honey. So just spread out the nuts. I'm going to put the apricots on top of that. And then we're going to put the cheese on top of that. Like that. The way to check, I lived in France, and they were always very particular when they chose the Brie and the camembert, and it's in the box, and do that. See, it needs to go down and spring back, otherwise it's not ripe. And the ladies and the gentlemen, when they were shopping in France, they would not buy a Brie or camembert unless it was just ripe. They don't want it too ripe, they're very fussy. And so I learnt. Now I'm going to brush I want to brush the edges with some egg wash. Again, this is very, very easy and quick. So we're just going to gather the pastry up like that. Oh, now you see, that's what happened with this particular one, but it doesn't matter. We can patch it. Pastry is very, and this is going on the bottom. There we are. We just want to make sure that it's not going to leak on the bottom. So just turn it over like that. Push it all together. Make sure it's in. And we can fiddle with it in a minute. So we've got our pastry and our brie, like that. So look, it's come off. Don't worry. This is what I say, that with this particular make of pastry, it's better if it's rolled. But, so we want the pastry to stick together. It happens in the best regulated. Now, I don't like all that pastry there, so I'm going to cut that little bit off. I've got a pair of scissors here. We don't want too much pastry on. Oh well. Let's just make sure that it's all in together. And again here, there's an excess of pastry. So if you've got, if you can buy a block of puff pastry, then you can roll it out to the measurements that you want. But I couldn't find anywhere a block of puff pastry. I could only find it in the packets. And so it's not quite as easy to roll out. There we are. Press it all in, like so. And we want that to be nice and brown. I'm not going to try and get that into the centre of the baking sheet, knowing me. I'm very good at probably dropping it. So we're just going to give it an egg wash. And this will help seal the pastry. If you've got any pastry left over, as I did, and you're artistic, then just make a few leaves to go on the top. And I'm going to put that in the oven about 425, and that will take probably about half an hour to cook. So I just want to make sure I'm working in my own light and I can see that it's not got any egg around there. And so let's take this back to the oven and let's cook it. And then we're going to serve this with some crackers. So come back to the oven with me. We'll put it in the oven and it will take roughly about 20 minutes, I think, to cook. It's quite, for the pastry to cook, because the brie is nicely ripe. There we are, it's in the oven. So I'm looking at the clock and I will see you in 25 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes time. So enjoy, bye-bye. Whew, it's warm in this kitchen. Let's have a look. The smell. Ah, look. One brie. Look at it. Beautiful. One nice warm brie. So let's take it back and see if we can get it on the plate. That's the next hurdle. There we are. Now, if I was serving this to my guests, I like to let it sit for about 5 minutes so that the cheese just has a chance to coagulate a little bit, because it's all quite liquid in there and the honey is very, very hot. So you just need it time to cool down a little bit. So we got to get that on the plate. So I served this with crackers. I'm serving it with cream crackers today. I like cream crackers, so, but use some fancy crackers. Get a box of mixed crackers and let people help themselves. So it is better if you just have 2 spatulas. We call, whoops, in England this is a fish slice. And I was teaching one day and I kept saying to my assistant, can you get me another fish slice? After about the 4th attempt, because I was still cooking, teaching, after about the 4th attempt, I pulled her on one side and said, look, I really need another fish slice now, please. And she said, what's a fish slice? So I said, well, it's one like this. She said, that's a spatula over here. So poor thing, I'd been asking her for something and she was too timid to ask me what it was. So I did learn. So let's just put that onto one side. Now you see, this will serve a lot of people. Especially, you can put crackers around the brie, or I just put a bowl of crackers on one side and let people help themselves. Now this will be a little bit runny, but we're going to cut and show you what it looks like. Nice and crispy. This can be served, I serve this sometimes as a light lunch with a nice green salad with it. But it could be served just so people can dig in and help themselves. Or it could be served as a main course for a dinner party. Sorry, as an appetizer for a dinner party. So you could serve some of this and a nice little green salad to go with it, and that makes an ideal first course. I need to get something, a plate, not forward thinking. So have I gone all the way through? Yes. So there, oh look, lovely, lovely runny brie. So this is the nice bit. Look at it, all oozing out. Get a cracker and a piece of, or a piece of fresh baguette and enjoy that brie. I'm just going to, I've lost a little bit of apricot there. I'm going to have a taste. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to cool down. This is one of my favourites. Oh, look at it. A nice glass of white wine, and Bob's your uncle, as we say in England. So cheers, mate. Oh yeah, oh yes. So don't forget, mrscalabashcooks.com is our website. The recipes are up on there. And on 7:30 on a Tuesday evening, we have our chat. And 2 o'clock Friday afternoon is our cooking class. And as I say, all the recipes are on there. All donations are gratefully received. So please join us tonight, 2 o'clock. 7:30 on a Tuesday. We'll sit round the table, and if you're writing your questions, then we can discuss it with our guests. And join me for the cooking class on a Tuesday. It's Christmas preparation. I'm going on a Thursday, 2 p.m. So thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to enjoy my brie. Bye.
$20. Lay on the line for $20. They
can play in. Who's playing? And they'll come on some time.